There comes a time in your spiritual journey when silence becomes your greatest weapon. Not every battle requires your reaction. Not every insult deserves your response. And not every person deserves access to your peace. Some people are sent not to bless you, but to test you. The enemy knows that if he can't destroy your destiny, he'll try to distract it through people. But wisdom says, don't react. Cut them off silently. When you learn to stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, you free your spirit to focus on God's assignment. Silence is not weakness, it's strength under control. The enemy feeds on your reaction because your reaction reveals your focus, your emotions, and your maturity. When you react to negativity, you step out of alignment with your purpose and into a trap designed to drain your peace. Every time you respond to a false accusation, an insult, or betrayal, you shift your energy away from what truly matters, your destiny. People who are determined to misunderstand you are not seeking truth, they are seeking attention. The more you try to explain yourself to them, the more power you give them over your emotions. The enemy doesn't always come as a storm or a temptation. Sometimes he comes through conversations that lead you away from your assignment. When you understand this, you learn that silence is not cowardice, but control. It's the wisdom to know that not everything deserves your voice. Jesus modeled this perfectly. When Judas betrayed him, he didn't confront him or expose his intentions. Jesus already knew the heart of Judas, yet he allowed purpose to run its course. He didn't need to prove himself or defend his loyalty. He remained silent because he understood that destiny has a way of revealing truth in time. In the same way, you must learn to allow time and fruit to speak for you. Those who doubt you now will see what God was doing when the harvest comes. You don't have to waste your breath fighting battles that were never yours to fight. Some attacks are simply distractions disguised as challenges. Reacting gives the enemy access to your peace. When you argue with people who have already decided who you are, you give them authority to influence your atmosphere. The enemy thrives in chaos, and he knows if he can provoke you, he can control you. That is why staying calm and silent is one of the most powerful spiritual disciplines. It's not about pretending nothing happened. It's about choosing not to let it shake your spirit. You must protect your focus because reaction is expensive. It costs you time, energy, and emotional stability. There are moments when God will tell you to stay still and let Him fight. Silence becomes your spiritual weapon, a declaration that you trust God more than your emotions. The truth doesn't need defense, it needs patience. When you stay quiet in the face of falsehood, you allow heaven to speak on your behalf. The people who tried to shame you will have to watch God vindicate you. Your stillness is not weakness, it's strategy. It shows that your confidence is rooted in divine timing, not human validation. Sometimes the loudest response you can give is progress. Keep building, keep praying, keep growing. Let your success make the noise. Don't waste time reacting to critics who contribute nothing to your destiny. Learn to walk away quietly, because your reaction might satisfy your flesh for a moment, but your silence will honor your spirit for a lifetime. When you grow spiritually, you begin to realize that silence and separation are not signs of weakness, but signs of wisdom. There are times when God will quietly remove certain people from your life, not because they are evil, but because their season in your story has ended. Every relationship is not meant to last forever. Some are only meant to carry you to a certain point of your destiny. When you insist on holding on to people that God is trying to separate you from, you delay your progress and confuse your peace. Spiritual maturity teaches you that closure is not always necessary, clarity is. You don't need a long explanation, an argument, or a dramatic goodbye to move on. When God reveals that a person, place, or habit no longer aligns with your purpose, your responsibility is to obey quietly. Cutting people off silently is not an act of bitterness. It's an act of obedience. It is understanding that peace is more valuable than explanation. When you've prayed for growth, God will prune your life, and pruning always involves cutting. He will cut off relationships that no longer feed your faith, opportunities that no longer fit your calling, and conversations that no longer carry life. The pruning process is never comfortable, but it is always necessary. Every time God prunes, He prepares you for greater fruit. That is why silent separation is a divine sign that God is elevating you. Too often, we think that maintaining relationships is a measure of love. But true love sometimes requires letting go. Forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. Sometimes it means releasing people in peace. You can love them, wish them well, and still choose not to walk with them any longer. Maturity is not about how many people you can please, but how willing you are to protect your purpose. God will test your heart by asking you to walk away from familiar places and familiar people, not because they are wrong, but because you have outgrown that level. The longer you stay where God has already moved on, the more restless your spirit becomes. Silent separation also guards you from unnecessary drama. You don't have to broadcast who you're cutting off or announce who hurt you. Just move quietly and let your actions speak. When you stop explaining and start evolving, peace will become your companion. God often works in the silence, and He doesn't need you to justify His decisions to anyone. The more you grow in grace, the less you feel the need to defend your growth. People may misunderstand your silence, but those who are spiritually discerning will recognize it as a sign of wisdom and maturity. Letting go doesn't mean failure. It means freedom. It means you've decided to prioritize what God is doing within you over what others are saying about you. There is beauty in walking away without bitterness, in choosing peace over pride, and in trusting that God knows who belongs in the next chapter of your life, even when you don't. Your peace is one of the clearest indicators that you are walking in the will of God. When your peace begins to disappear, it is often a divine signal that something or someone in your life is out of alignment with your purpose. God uses peace as an inner compass to direct your steps and warn you when you are connected to the wrong people or situations. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is spiritual responsibility. Every believer must learn to guard their peace the same way a soldier guards a weapon, because without peace, discernment becomes clouded and purpose becomes harder to pursue. The enemy cannot destroy what God has blessed, so he attacks peace to distract you from purpose. Many people lose focus because they try to keep everyone happy while ignoring the unease in their spirit. But when God begins to elevate you, not everyone can go with you. Some connections that once felt comfortable will begin to feel heavy, not because people changed, but because your assignment did. The higher you rise in purpose, the more sensitive you become to spiritual noise. That is why God often calls you into seasons of separation, to protect your peace so your purpose can stay pure. You cannot hear divine instructions clearly while surrounded by confusion, gossip, or negativity. Protecting your peace means learning when to say no, when to stay silent, and when to walk away without explaining. Guarding your heart is more than avoiding pain. It is about maintaining the purity of your focus. The heart is the source of your decisions, your thoughts, and your spiritual strength. When your heart is full of resentment, worry, or distraction, your vision becomes blurred. The scripture teaches, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. That means your peace is the foundation of everything you will produce in life. If peace is missing, progress will eventually stop. This is why you must be careful about who has access to your spirit. Not everyone who smiles at you deserves a seat in your circle. Some people bring chaos that looks like companionship, and if you are not discerning, you will confuse comfort with calling. When God begins to highlight areas or relationships that disturb your peace, He is not trying to isolate you. He is trying to insulate you. He protects what He intends to prosper. Sometimes that protection looks like loneliness for a season, but that solitude is sacred. It is the place where God rebuilds your strength, renews your clarity, and restores your focus. Never feel guilty for choosing peace over pleasing people. The same people who drain your peace today will question your distance tomorrow, but that is the price of purpose. You must decide that your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being are worth protecting. The favor of God flows freely in peaceful hearts, and when peace is preserved, purpose flourishes. Don't react, rise above it. Don't explain, evolve. Don't fight, focus. Let God handle the noise while you move in purpose. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Your silence will speak louder than your defense.